Hello, it's Greg Grizzly and Gaijin. We're back. We hope you're having a happy day wherever you're listening to this audio content from. As always, we'd like to thank you for your continued support of Greg Grizzly and Gaijin social media and writing efforts. Thank you, thank you, thank you. This is episode 037 of the Greg Grizzly and Gaijin, definitely not a podcast show. A light and fluffy look at social media, Japan, Japanese food, expat life, and life in general. As always, your retweets of this and all the wonderful, wonderful, wonderful content that we actively tweet and retweet out on Craig Hoffman11 on Twitter is appreciated. Thank you in advance for helping us get the good word out about Greg Grizzly and Gaijin. Welcome back. Another good show today, I hope. Talking about the merits of automatic posting programs on social media, specifically Twitter. This actually came up this week, a program that I have used for quite a while to manage my Twitter feed was suddenly discontinued, sadly, after I had paid the non-refundable 3-month fee. Now, whether it comes back or not, and I won't dime it out, I don't know. But it affects my social media management to a fair degree, and I'm not alone in that. Twitter was full of complaints to that particular company about not delivering on what they had promised. I must say that I wasn't necessarily totally surprised that Twitter did it. It was sudden. That was surprising. But Twitter for some time, and specifically with that company, had cracked down on mass following and unfollowing of people on Twitter. When I first bought that program, you could click a button and follow 100 people instantly, and you could do the same, click another button and unfollow particularly 100 people or so, as it were. And so daily, you're not really looking at who you're following and unfollowing. You're just kind of blindly throwing out a net and hoping that people stay with you. And of course, in my particular case, I'm an active blogger, an active writer, and I have a fair amount of content in addition to those information streams that I put out there to keep people pretty interested in coming to Craig Hoffman11 on Twitter. And I can tell you that that's true, and you can go to Craig Hoffman11 on Twitter and you'll see nearly 16,000 people who agree with that. But suddenly, Twitter cracked down, and you had to click one by one. So literally every morning, I'm clicking 100 people, click, 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 and I'm clicking 100 people who didn't follow me back, click, 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 and I'm clicking a fair amount of my fans. Those are people who followed me but who I was not following. You know, reciprocal following is a big part of building a larger, authentic following. People generally take offense, especially as a non-famous person, when you don't follow them back. But Twitter cracked down on that, and life went on for that program, and I continued to add and unfollow people daily, 7 days a week. And I was able to schedule my blog and run through upwards of between 10 to 16 posts a day. So that was really nice. You know, I have a real life, as I've said before, a busy life and a job, of course, like many content creators who don't do these things full-time professionally. So it took the burden off of being on social media, quote, all day, end quote. So that was nice. And it also offered the opportunity to post pictures and news stories. I enjoyed it from that part. It was nice to see what was popular and what was trending. But then again, of course, January 31st, that stopped. And now I'm manually retweeting and tweeting out my blog to keep my feed going. And of course, I cannot do that at my job. I don't like people who tweet and do such things while on the clock. My company pays me, and I'm appreciative of that. I throw no shade at anyone who does that, and everybody makes their own decisions. I take my job seriously. I'm not above, writing a quick message or email to someone while on company time. That's all right. I get my breaks and things like any other employee. But to sit around all day kind of tweeting and retweeting things, that's not particularly me. I think it does a disservice to the hardworking foreigners here in Japan and gives us all a reputation as kind of being, quote, lazy, end quote. That's just not my thing. But, when you're not on Twitter, someone else is. And so my interaction levels dropped this week, and my blog numbers dropped this week. And of course, that hurts as I continue to try to get out there. I've been able to kind of weather the storm a little bit as my following generally actively retweets and shares my content more than ever. But if I was newer to Twitter and I had a smaller, less active following, sure, it would be really, really hard. And people, not only the automatic following, but early on in my time in Twitter, I paid a little money to put myself in front of people who followed me, and it was their choice whether they stayed with me or they didn't. But it was really hard to get my stuff out there to a large audience. I was getting 1 or 2 new followers a day, maybe, and I was losing, 3 or 4 or whatever because I was aggressively blogging and I was aggressively retweeting my content, and some people didn't like that, especially when you're small. You just look annoying. It's funny when you're small and you tweet 20 times a day, people hate you, and when you have 1 million followers and you tweet 20 times a day, you get 500 likes and 50 retweets. That's just the way kind of Twitter works. But the advantages of automatic tweeting for a content creator, a writer, or a blogger is that your stuff is always in front of an audience. And I liken it to concession workers at a stadium. I used to have that job. I'd walk around like with the peanuts and the popcorn and the snacks and everything. And, hey, ice cold beer, peanuts and crackers, $5, right? And a lot of my money, my commission was based on emptying that box around my neck. And when you say that, of course, people like, get out of the way, I'm watching the game, and shut up. One dude gave me money to go away. Good on him. Thank you for your money. But over time, throughout the games, as I was walking around, inevitably somebody was hungry and say, hey man, hot dog, hey man, beer, hey man, snacks. And if I was really hoofing it around the stadium or the gymnasium, wherever I was, I generally sold everything in my box, and that was good for me. And that took time, but it did work. Twitter, when you put your stuff in front of 5 people, no matter how hard you work, even if you're 100% successful, you got 5 people reading it. That's just not going to move the social media influence needle for you. And so I found it really effective to say, hey, here's my stuff, take it or leave it. And I had confidence in my content and my ability to create more, that I believed that people would stay with me. And again, over almost 2.5 years, almost 3 really in September, that's exactly what has happened. And I just myself manually could never have generated that amount of buzz and consistency on Twitter to grow like I have. So I find myself now rather disappointed that I'm back to manually doing almost everything I put on Twitter. And to some degree, people would say, well, it's more human contact and it's more relationships and you're building things. And that is true, but that's stuff that I was doing anyway. The automatic posting and following and unfollowing didn't get me nearly 16,000 people. It gave me a platform to apply consistent new content, blogging, and relationship building with hundreds, if not thousands of people who help support Gray, Grizzled, and Gaijin. Automatic posting and automatic following and unfollowing programs, much to Twitter's chagrin, don't build large, authentic followings. They just build raw numbers. And that's not something I was looking for. I wanted people who followed me because, 1, they enjoy what Gray, Grizzled, and Gaijin does, and 2, they feel appreciated from Gray, Grizzled, and Gaijin for their support and engagement. And of course, I want to grow beyond the bubble that is content creators in Japan and people who love Japan. That's a limited market. So I made no apologies for using automatic publishing services and follower and unfollower programs to give my Twitter, social media, writing, and blogging every chance at being successful. And so I really hope that Twitter takes a step back and realizes that little dudes like Gray, Grizzled, and Gaijin, and many of you who are listening to this Not a Podcast show, aren't seeking grand fame and fortune, nor are they looking to spam the Twitterverse. They're just looking for a chance to shine in the world. That's it, and have a great, great day.